would suppliers in China consider you local if you're registered in Hong Kong?
Well, it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
It's I think it's kind of like a political question. Yes and no. It's a
Right.
mixture of both. I think it's more no than yes, but still, being in Hong Kong uh, gives you more advantages and opens many doors for your business in China. That's for sure.
Does it also help that Hong Kong has one of the best tax regimes in the region as well, with dual tax treaties with
Absolutely.
everybody? Yeah.
Absolutely. I was going to mention about tax as well. Is that's definitely especially for the new companies, for the newly established companies, you get a certain grace period.
While the world's still asleep, we're already grinding. Walking foreign streets, big city lights so blinding. Learning and hustling in this relentless game. The Emerge pods next up, we're breaking the frame.
Saying that, thank you very much for taking the time to be on the Emerge podcast. I, really appreciate it. I've wanted to have you as a
Thank you.
guest for a long time, and we've known each other for a while as well.
That's right. Thank you.
But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
glad we're finally able to do this. So let's just jump right into it. The first thing I want to know is, Sirius Trading, the company that you run, it's been around for a while. You're present in a couple of countries. But what I really want to know is, how did this journey start? So where does Sirius come from?
Yes, exactly. So I'm gonna tell you, it was an interesting story of industry professionals getting together and to come up with some ideas, with the business ideas, and a lot of effort and time invested into bringing this to the reality. Because the first discussions, I think, were in year 1819, when there was an original idea. The founding members, the group of people that represent different industries, such as like the IT, finance, and also the global trading that also includes like sourcing and procurement, supply chain, basically. So the founding members, they basically kind of like, were friends to begin with. So but every time they met, they discussed the idea and how they can bring their advantages to the table and come up with some with a project that will generate profits and potentially the UAE was considered as the first market. So finally in 21, 22, the idea came to the reality. By that time, some of the people who were originally present in the discussions, they were already gone.
Mhm.
But the idea survived. The idea survived, and so the company received its license in 2022, and started. The first, I would say, the core or the service was the IT support,
Mhm.
and so the company specialized in the IT solutions and also offered the technology so it was both like software and hardware. And the hardware part was offered through the suppliers in Asia, mostly in China, whom we established like a good connections with through one of the founding members of the team. So that's how it all started. I mean, apparently there was a demand in the market, so
Mhm.
the company started growing, and by year 24, end of 23, we realized that there's a whole different niche out there that we considered before, but never thought that it's going to become a company's core service, and it's basically the service is like supply chain, like sourcing and assisting with purchasing and finding the right suppliers,
Mhm.
especially for the network of companies that we today see as our clients. Some of them are recurring clients, which is really good for us. The companies that are operating in Middle East and Europe mostly, uh, Europe and UK, I would say, EU and UK. So there are a lot of companies, when they we're living in the world where like many businesses, they're really they have to operate within the certain financial constraints and
Mhm.
operational restrictions. So everyone is concerned about the efficiency today, which is the probably the slogan of many large corporations. It's been the slogan for the last several years, in comparison with the previous, times.
Of course.
So we are there to help those companies to become efficient. We are there to utilize our network of contacts in the Asian region and help those companies to source and procure the raw materials or the supplies they need at much lower cost. And a lot of our clients are the classical resellers or distributors.
Hmm.
Many of them, many of the companies, in order to survive in the market, they're in a constant search of new partners. And so again, here we are, offering our service when we can help them to build new bridges. And recently we had a conversation with one, a very loyal client whom we already became friends with, and we had a conversation, and it's really, I mean, the way people see us. Basically, he told us that, okay, I see you as a bridge. You build that bridge for me from Europe to Asia. And we're proud to be serving our clients in such format.
That's pretty interesting that you guys started off with just the IT hardware sourcing, and now you're offering sourcing for raw materials for factories and manufacturing as well, right?
Exactly, that's correct. That's correct.
But so
Yes.
let's go back to that first country of origin. So you started this off in the UAE in 2018,
Yes.
2019. The UAE is
Yes.
already a very competitive market when it comes to any kind of industry. So what made you guys choose the UAE as your first base of operations?
As I told you, Sohaib, the original idea basically was formed as a result of some potential ideas exchange between the founding members. And
Hmm.
so we had in our network, we had a lot of potential clients, like customers, who one of the founding members helped us to reach out to. And so, uh, in certain cases, I think in business, not necessarily like trading or sourcing, but in many cases, uh, people trust individuals. Like there are a lot of cases when okay, it's really good when someone trusts the brand, the company. It's really good. It's the way it should be, and this is what we're working on right now, and we're already getting the results. But in many cases, the individuals who help move things, they are the trusted ones.
Of
So
course.
we had the industry experts on the founding team who helped us to build those initial bridges with the companies, with the potential clients that kind of like established initial contact with us. We started negotiations. We offered them the service, and they believed in us. Of course, not all of them. Well, you have to admit that the uh, running the business and growing is not only about winning every day. It's a good combination of failures and wins. I think the most important thing is that you don't give up. You just keep going.
Absolutely.
You just keep going. Every time after you fall, you get up and you continue moving.
So of course, I can imagine that it must have been a struggle to get this started in the UAE. But so what I'm understanding is that you and your founding members were already in the UAE market, and you had those contacts for potential clients already. That's why you kind of set this up in the UAE.
Yes, yes, absolutely. That was, as I told you, the original idea is dated back to year 1819, but the actual company was established, incorporated
In
several years
2022.
later,
Yeah. Yeah.
21 in 21, 22. So, but it doesn't mean that during those couple of years, the team, the core team, just did nothing and only brainstormed the business idea. There were some initial contacts made. There were some
Hmm.
initial inquiries sent, Yes, I mean we made some inquiries even before the company was incorporated. So we
Sure.
started to establishing the connection. We started establishing the connections and contacts with the potential clients even before we incorporated the company.
I think that's a good idea because you see, as I said, given how competitive the UAE is, and given the cost of actually running a business in the UAE, it might be a good idea for a lot of entrepreneurs to first have that team in place and have that market research completed before fully committing to opening a company and running the company. I believe that's similar to what you guys did as well, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, I think for any company, for any business that is entering the new market and is, starting the business, especially in the competitive jurisdictions such as UAE,
Of course.
it's very important that you do like the pre-operate. You spend some time in the pre-operation mode where you build connections, you send inquiries, you knock at the door of if not all but most of the potential clients. Even if you don't get the commitment, you get a better sense of the market, you get a better understanding of what the expectations and the client needs are. So I think that was the key. That was the key. And if you look at the timeline, we went very careful about it. So we actually took our time and incorporated only several years after the idea was formed.
I like that. That is a very strategic approach to starting a business because when dealing with entrepreneurs, there's a lot of passion involved in the starting of a company, right? And in that passion, they often sometimes miss out on the realistic situations in the market. So I think that is a very good thing that you guys took the time for a couple of years to study the market before fully committing to it. But that's on the client side, right? On the supply side, you mentioned that you primarily source from China and different markets in China. How
Yes.
I'm sure there are viewers of our podcast who are either in the same business or are looking to get into some kind of trading with China and then supplying products in different markets. How easy is it for a new company to actually establish these connections in China? And did you actually need a physical presence in China to have those connections?
All right, so not easy at all. And the physical presence is definitely needed to help things move faster.
Hmm.
Again, as I told you, we had the uh, already like a network of uh, suppliers in the region, and that network helped us to make our first steps. That
Right.
network helped to initiate our first projects, and as we continued and as we were receiving more and more requests from our clients, we just we started learning more about the market using our connections. Having the right connections in place is very important. We believe in it.
Hmm.
And again, as I told you, the founding members of the founding team, it was originally a group of experts that gained a very strong reputation in different areas, and so the specific team members that already built that reputation with the certain suppliers, with the top suppliers in the Asian region, especially in China, they helped to move things much faster for us.
Of
Again,
course.
to answer your questions, you asked about the physical presence. I believe the physical presence is definitely needed if you want to uh, reach your goals faster, and
Hmm.
if you wanna build and maintain a better quality relationship and better quality connections with the local partners, with the local suppliers, it's very important. For us, it was possibly a slightly easier task. I don't say it was easy. It was like there have been times when the team, including myself, we were really questioning, like, on do you really think the guys we should continue? There are a lot of a lot of issues, like a lot of gaps that we, but we stayed strong. We, stayed motivated, and we tried to figure it all out. There have been times when we were accepting a requisition from a client, and we were like having a hard time locating, the right
Absolutely, I
supplier.
can imagine. Yeah,
Or there were times when we would accept or send a quotation and get our quotation accepted, but then for some reason we would lose the supplier, and then while we were looking for the alternative, we realized that we're going to lose money on the order because we
yeah,
can't find the same price tag with a different supplier. So there are a lot of issues. Presence is important, and as we continue growing, and this is probably the next kind of like side of business or the next subject that we can discuss, we also started building partnership with the local with the local professionals. I
right.
believe it's very important. No matter how good you are, no matter how good you know the industry, and no matter how many years, decades of experience you have, it's always important to have like a local touch. It's also
Hmm.
always important to have like a touch of the local mentality on the team. So someone who looks at things as local, not as a and not as a stranger. Yeah, we have to admit, every time we're entering a new jurisdictions, we're strangers. We're strangers.
Absolutely,
There are a lot of nuances that we may not be taken into consideration at the
of
very
course.
start.
Yeah, absolutely, and that naturally transitions into what I was going to ask next. Is how you first started this business off in the UAE, and then you gradually started to expand to other markets. So, what was the first stop after the UAE for you guys?
After the UAE, let me try to remember. The first stop was actually, I remember, it's a good question. First stop was Vietnam. Um,
Interesting. Okay.
Viet, yeah, because at that time, and it was like, I would say it was just a coincidence, because
Hmm.
at that time we were planning a project that was supposed to involve a Vietnamese supplier.
Okay.
So that's why when we started, the actually drawing the roadmap and planning ahead, uh, all of a sudden, we were in the negotiations with the client about this potential project, and there were suppliers identified that were based in Vietnam,
Hmm.
partially in China, but Vietnam as well. So we decided to enter that jurisdiction first. And then apparently there were a few other countries after that.
So for Vietnam, was it primarily to have a closer relationship with suppliers, or did you have clients in Vietnam already?
It was for the purpose of getting closer to the supplier.
Suppliers, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, because the client was based in EU, in Europe.
Okay.
So the goal was to incorporate locally and
Hmm.
make sure that we first of all, it required a presence, a physical presence.
Of
This
course.
is again going back to the previous question that you asked. So we really had to, look for the, for the candidates, and then pick up the one that works best for us, to appoint a
Mhm.
representative there,
Of
so
course.
that we can have a person on the ground to stay in constant connection with our potential supplier.
Interesting. So, yeah, I guess Vietnam is an excellent country when it comes to sourcing material after China, of course, and it's fast
Yes,
becoming the next big thing in the region for sourcing a lot of materials. So that it makes
absolutely.
sense that it was the next logical step for you guys. So, where did you go after
Absolutely.
Vietnam?
After Vietnam, we had like several projects that we were working on simultaneously.
Hmm.
I will mention only the projects that are directly linked to our company in UAE,
Hmm.
because there were several others that we initiated with the partners, not with the
Yeah.
local partners, but with some of the international partners that's a slight. There's like a slight different business format, and our role in that partnership is different. So I'm going to focus only on the countries where we, as a company incorporated independently, basically,
Hmm.
kind of like the affiliated subsidiaries. So we can name Hong Kong. Hong
Of
Kong,
course.
it's apparently it's a financial hub
Yep.
in Asia, and it's close to China, and it's 100% compliant jurisdiction. So we thought that being stationed in Hong Kong gives you flexibility. While you're in Hong Kong, you're close to China, and you're physically and also like theoretically, you're close to your suppliers in China. But at the same time, you get this sense of autonomous jurisdiction,
Yeah,
where
I've
yeah.
recently had a couple of inquiries about Hong Kong and China's relationship, right? So, if does your
Yes.
Hong Kong entity, is it actually considered as a Chinese entity in the eyes of the suppliers from China?
No, it's well, it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah,
It's I think it's kind of like a political question, I would
true.
say,
But I
but
would
yeah,
say in the
yeah,
eyes of the suppliers, right? So for you mentioned that having local presence in markets where your suppliers are, it helps, right? So the question then becomes that would suppliers in China consider you local if you're registered in Hong Kong?
yes and no. It's a
Okay.
mixture of both. I think it's more no than yes, but still, being in Hong Kong uh, gives you more advantages and opens many doors for your business in China. That's for sure.
Mhm. Okay.
That's for sure. That's absolutely out of question. And uh, I think literally, the presence in Hong Kong for any company that is considering like running several offices in Asia is important because it's really we see it for ourselves. We see it as a hub, as a
Right.
local hub that offers us easy access both geographically and
Mhm.
kind of like also distance wise to many countries in the region.
Does it also help that Hong Kong has one of the best tax regimes in the region as well, with dual tax treaties with
Absolutely.
everybody? Yeah.
Absolutely. I was going to mention about tax as well. That's definitely especially for the new companies, for the newly established companies. You get a certain grace period. It's like about 1 year. That you
Mhm.
don't really have to submit any returns, and so it's pretty much like a investor friendly. Although I hear a lot that Hong Kong has been at its peak, some years ago. Now the situation is changing, but I honestly, after visiting the place several times and after meeting with some of the local partners and
Oh
suppliers,
dear.
I think it's still like a great place to be for any international company. I think I truly believe that any company, any international business that is considering to expand globally, that is considering like a expansion, a geographical expansion. If if they're entering the Asian region, the Hong Kong presence, I think is a must. Hong Kong is offers the basically Hong Kong offers you the direct route to many jurisdictions in the region, to include China and uh, several other countries. Easy connection, um, then the 100% compliant and transparent banking system,
Of course.
as well as the tax regime, because like especially for the new companies, the new companies are offered a grace period of 12 months. And so basically, if you're a new company and you need some time to kind of like build up your local company, get the people on board and establish the operations and kind of like develop your strategy.
they, the authorities give you sufficient time to put everything on the rails before they start, actually, uh, before you're obliged to report and you report your returns. So I
Interesting.
think it's not only the flexibility that the authorities are offering, but also the access to the community, to the business community, because many companies, to include like the global and the regional companies, they have offices in Hong Kong, and the banking system
Hmm.
works very smooth. And I have been in contact with many banks in Hong Kong, and I think they're just, they're high caliber professionals, and especially when you're starting your when you're starting a new business, the the banks in Hong Kong, they tend to navigate you through the complexities of doing business in their jurisdiction.
And I'm sure that's not the same for every market, because every market has its own set of challenges. Similar to how, in Malaysia it might be difficult to open a bank account. Thailand might be another. So perhaps it is the best option for companies starting out in the region to have a presence in Hong Kong first, so they can really have that financial.
That's absolutely right. I want to comment on this, that opening the bank account in Hong Kong is not easy, and I would say it's probably as difficult as it is in Malaysia, possibly same level of complexity. But once you're on board, once you open the account, the banks would go out of their way to provide you the great service, the great and professional service, would give you an advice and will help you to navigate through the complexities of international even regulations, not only the local
Okay,
ones.
interesting. So okay, so that takes care of the markets that you've expanded to. You mentioned that you transitioned from the IT hardware products to more on the raw material side of things. And I can imagine that when you're sourcing from multiple markets and providing these products in multiple markets, you have to deal with a large number of import regulations. So do you handle those import regulations and importing yourself, or do you outsource to third parties?
Okay, so that's a really good question, and it's one of the biggest challenges,
Exactly.
given to the fact that we are open to partnership with companies from various regions, from various countries. So we have professionals on our team that are experts in the international supply chain, and also the import export related regulations. But we have to admit that there are cases when their expertise is not sufficient, because we work with, again, various countries. uh, every country is different, has its own peculiarity, has its own set of rules and regulations that must be followed. So we tend to outsource some of the support with the import and export operations to a third party.
Interesting. So let's talk a bit about these markets where you're sourcing from. Now, everyone knows that China has always been great when it comes to sourcing products, but because of recent tariffs and recent global political scenarios, China might be the best solution for a lot of companies, right? Do you agree with that? That China, in the long run, might not be an ideal sourcing country? And what other countries should people be looking at?
I would say that right now, excuse me, at the moment, I totally agree that China remains a global leader in manufacturing. So, therefore, um, right now, this year in 2025, and looking ahead in 26 and 27, we believe that it's still gonna dominate I would say, will dominate the list of the countries where most of our suppliers are coming from. But it's important to note that apart from China, there are smaller regulations, jurisdictions, and we have to admit that China is a large country, and depending on what type of products you're looking for, you have to understand that that there's like a distribution, like an internal distribution. For example, like if you're looking for the raw materials, let's say like plastics, it's if you know the market, you know that you need to look for them in the specific provinces, in the specific regions. If you're looking for, let's say, like wood, or if you're looking like for ready products or like IT hardware, you have to know like where you're looking for them. You can find them like across the country, but you have if you're an expert, you would be able to locate them at the specific regions at the lower cost and possibly even better quality than if you were to, if you were looking for them in the other regions in China. But that's a different story. Like, okay, so right now most of our orders they go through China. We, um, get them executed via Chinese suppliers. But what's happening in the market right now, there are a lot of other countries, like few other countries where the manufacturing is blossoming. And just to name between the few, we've seen a very high potential and the rapid development in Vietnam. We have to admit that Vietnam has seen a rapid development, and we believe that within the next couple of years, it will be one of our priority destinations in terms of where we look for the suppliers.
But is there a one-to-one comparison in the types of products available in Vietnam? Because China, as you mentioned, is huge, and each province you can consider as its own jurisdiction for specialized products and sourcing. So, what kind of products are you finding are better in Vietnam?
To answer your question about Vietnam, we have seen a high potential. Like Vietnam is now the um, we have seen the rise in the production and the manufacturing of parts, like various parts, to include the machinery and also like the IT technologies. When I say IT, it's I'm not speaking about like traditional IT, like the desktop, the computers, but also like the vending machines, various machinery. So there has been an increase in the rates and basically in the statistics. If you look at the statistics, the manufacturing in Vietnam is growing right now, and there are a lot of like the Chinese involvement in the process. And over the last several years, there have actually been like several trade agreements signed between China and Vietnam. And China is, I would say, they are willing to share their experience, and they're willing to assist Vietnam in transitioning into like another maybe smaller but another like a manufacturing hub in the region. So
Interesting.
that's about Vietnam, but the same goes for some other countries as well. Like even if we like speak about Malaysia, for example. In Malaysia, as we know, we haven't discussed it yet, but Sirius also is like established an incorporated company. So right now, like if you look at the Malaysian market, we don't have any particular suppliers or manufacturers in Malaysia. But while we're doing the market analysis and we were analyzing the region, there is just a tremendously high and unleashed potential in the region, and most of it we see in Malaysia. Yeah, in the coming years, I believe if all goes well, we're gonna continue with the flow that we have currently established. We're gonna follow this roadmap, but I believe that very soon, possibly by 2030, we will be shifting to certain suppliers in Malaysia, and potentially even establishing a different business division where we could use our expertise and knowledge to provide a certain type of service in the market. That's a long term goal for the company. Not only in Malaysia, but in Malaysia, we believe it will create a great potential for us if we are able to use our expertise in managing the supply chain, in the sourcing, in the IT technological support to actually start providing our services, start offering our services to the local clients. So this is kind of like our long term goal. But my last comment would be is that every jurisdiction where we access, where we enter, we do that for a reason. We do that for a reason. We may not be proactively engaging with the local, vendors and with the local clients from day one. And as I told you before, we had this conversation that in Malaysia, for example, we do not intend to um, closely work with local businesses. But up until the timing of that is there, until a moment. So we want to make sure that we're prepared. We're watching the market trends closely, and we strongly believe that there will be an opportunity. And once the opportunity is there, our goal and our mission is to be aware of this opportunity so that we can utilize our expertise, utilize our resources to to catch the momentum and possibly enter the race, enter the competition with the local companies, with the international companies, and so yeah.
Well, it's good that the conversation has naturally, flown to Malaysia because that's where I wanted to take it. It's home ground for me. But yeah, according to a lot of trends that people are observing in Malaysia, it can be a great market for sourcing, materials and trade over the next 5 years. Do you have an idea of the kind of products you'll be looking at in Malaysia at this point, or is it too early to tell?
What specific products, like
Yeah,
in Malaysia?
yeah.
We have like a very detailed, uh, like a research paper, I would say, like a research documents that we have done. Some of the information on this research, because like we invested a lot of time and resources on this. Of course, it's not available public
Of
right
course.
now. We do not disseminate, but I can tell that. Malaysia is progressing fast. I need to answer your question, so I'll just give you some, ideas, maybe some elements of our research that we've done. Uh, Malaysia is developing technologically, so technologies, IT, and also the potentially we're closely watching. This is not only Malaysia, but also like several other countries in the region. We're following and kind of observing the progress with the digital assets,
Mhm.
because this is we believe is going to be another niche, another vertical that will have like a very strong potential, and the opportunity will be there. But additionally, if you look at the manufacturing in general, we've seen some growth there as well,
Mhm.
and especially, I'll name one just so that your question, does not stay unanswered.
Sure.
Is the beauty and cosmetics?
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, there's also like a strong the strong potential in this vertical as well.
Yeah, I would actually second that because recently we've been receiving a lot of interest from companies who want to set up their cosmetic products, either in terms of manufacturing or in terms of distribution. And I've found that the government is actually making the process of doing that easier over time. That as a foreign entity, you can have a cosmetic notification holder. So yeah, I can double down and second that cosmetics are definitely an emerging, market in Malaysia for the whole region.
Absolutely, I totally agree. It is considered to be the emerging, region, like a region that is full of emerging markets. If you look at all of the countries separately, there are some countries in the region, and I mean, it wouldn't be fair maybe to name, some. There are quite a few that again, that goes the same goes for Malaysia, same goes for Vietnam. Just tremendously large, massive, I would say, unleashed potential economically.
Hmm.
So, and I think the global economy, the global economy trends will be shifting as a result of the development in those emerging markets in those countries. So it will have a global impact on the world economy in the near future.
Yeah.
I'm telling, like, before 2030.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Okay, I think once again, the conversation has naturally come to the point where we can conclude our discussion. But what I really want to know is that we've discussed about how in the next 5 years, certain markets are going to emerge as hubs for different things. So, in a very brief manner, could you tell me what the next 5 years look like for Sirius Trading, a company that emerges in the UAE and now is present all across the region? What do the next 5 years look like for you?
First of all, it's important to tell that we live in the world um, where the stability is a joke.
Absolutely.
Stability. There's no such thing. But there are a lot of challenges and a lot of shifts. And I think any successful company, or at least a company that wants to be successful, it's important to closely monitor the progress and the trends, and stay on top of in order to stay on top of the market. That's important. Because, like, uh, I would say that the difference between the private sector and the international business 30 years ago, like 20 years ago, and now is that uh, you are successful only if you're flexible, only if you can adjust and align your strategy with the market needs and the demand. That is shifting, every hour there are some minor shifts.
True.
Every year there are some large shifts. So if you're unfortunately, like, for many companies that are kind of like, that have the narrow area of expertise, and they're focusing on the specific industry only, there are a lot of risks associated with this. So we live in the world where the digital technologies are transforming and just changing, like, 180 degrees. Many industries are changing as a result of the application of the AI and modern technologies. So our strategy as a serious trade is to closely observe and monitor the trends, and make sure that we retain the best talent on the team, because we believe that one of the important resources that will guarantee the company's success in the long run is the our human
Of course.
resources, the people who bring the experience, who bring the expertise. We're the company that is focusing on the human resources, and make sure that we hire and retain the best talent. So, and we want to make sure that on our team we combine the expertise in various different industries, so that we are ready to the challenges of the market. And if the sudden shifts take place, we can use the in-house expertise
Makes
to respond to those challenges accordingly. I will add just a little note that as a company who is mostly involved in the global trade, in the brokerage trade, or like the kind of like the agent model trade at the moment. We're closely watching the markets, and we are planning to utilize our knowledge and our expertise in order to expand the portfolio and become the service providers in the local markets where we're present. And as it was mentioned, we're currently present in several countries. So the long term goal is to transform uh, our affiliated companies in different countries into the reputable local service providers, and they're to be determined.
Of
And
course.
that's why we're monitoring the markets closely.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I can tell that, the conversation that we've had so far, it can be very valuable for someone who's looking to get into this trade, industry of trading commodities or trading materials from one market to another. If you were to go back to like 2018, 2017, and you could tell yourself something that would make your journey easier
That's a
of
very
running a
interesting
serious
question.
trade, what would
I
it be?
think what we needed to tell ourselves back in the day, we already told. The only adjustment to the original idea uh, could have been the better understanding of the future business environment. But this is unreal. You never know what to expect. And if you want to be successful, you have to analyze the markets. You have to make sure that your forecasts are up to date. You have to be flexible to any drastic changes and shifts in the market. But overall, I think I will add another, like the motivator here is that uh, back in the day when we just launched the project, and while we were developing it, there were a lot of doubts. There were a lot of moments. Well, there were a lot of times when we were in doubts, when we uh, weren't sure that we were doing the right thing, and we were even on several occasions considering shutting down the business, or at least uh, had some thoughts about it. But I believe that if you have the right people around you, the people that you trust in, and the people that can bring value to the table, if you believe in your team, if you trust your team, any challenges are they seem to be as small problems, and you can go over any obstacles along the way. So I think it's important to just uh, keep moving. I mean, keep moving. We didn't stop. We had reasons to shut down and stop this business, and cease the operations. But we've gone through the some hardships. But we continued to do the same what we believed in. We worked hard, and that would be the thing. If I go back in the day, and if I sit at the table with the founding team, I will tell them that along the way you're gonna have some doubts, you're gonna have some thoughts about closing this and shutting this business down. Don't do it. Don't even think about it. Just keep going. Don't waste your time on the thoughts like this.
That's very motivational, and I really like what you said about an idea is only as good as the people that are working on it and how motivated those people are. So yeah, I can see that you guys have been through the ringer because you started at a time when it was very close to post-COVID times, and I'm sure that presented its own set of challenges. But I've really enjoyed the story you've shared, Eldar. Thank you so much for being on this episode of the podcast. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, whether it's for business or advice, how do they get in touch with you?
They can, connect with us via LinkedIn or visit our webpage. If you have some collaborators, potential collaborators in your network, it's you have our contacts. Feel free to share. I mean, we will be more than happy to discuss new collaborations.
Fantastic. Well, I'll leave your contact information in the details of this episode as well. And that's it. Thank you so much for being on the episode, Eldar. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you so much, Sohaib, and not only for inviting me to a podcast, but thanks also for supporting us and providing the high quality professional services to our company.
It's always a pleasure, and we hope to continue serving you in the future as well.
Likewise, thank you very much.
Yeah, while the world's asleep, we're breaking the frame. We already grinding. The emerge pods next up, we're breaking the frame.